This movie was horrible. Is that what you wanted to hear me say? Okay, I've said it. Let's move on to what I actually think about it. I'll admit, it wasn't a spectacular movie. It was nowhere near as good as Legend of the Guardians, but I've got to give Alpha and Omega credit. It was a fun movie to watch. It had its flaws, but what movie doesn't? I mean, well, other than Legend of the Guardians. Here's the bad news first. I walked out of the theater trying rather hard to remember the names of the characters. I mean, even the female lead, which just shouldn't happen. I remember Humphrey, partly because he had the most entertaining personality out of anybody in the movie. Kate, oh yeah, that was her name, Kate. I knew that. Kate was interesting, but seemed just a little bit shallow to me, even though she did end up with Humphrey in the end. No spoiler there, we all knew this would happen by the name of the movie, and just look at the title and remember that it's a kid's movie. A fair amount of the voice acting felt a bit stilted, a little awkward, and Kate's mother in particular, though she was a fun character, was very inconsistent with her lines. And many of the characters were extremely stereotypical. I mean, you got Kate's dad, who's the grave leader of the wolf pack with the serious voice. You have Kate's mom, who's the slightly psycho, overprotective mother who will, to quote the movie, rip out the eyes of anyone who hurt her daughter and stuff them down their throat so they can see it when she disembowels them. Yeah. Or something to that effect. Kate's sister, Lily, total airhead, very cute, but yeah, she's an airhead. And Garth, the one that Kate was supposed to marry, total musclehead. I mean, nice enough guy, wasn't a bully about it, but yeah, you know what I mean. The plot was extremely predictable. I mean, one look at the title, you know how it's going to end. Omega likes Alpha, Alpha snubs Omega because it's tradition, they have a wacky adventure, Alpha ends up falling for Omega, one of them almost dies, comes back because of the power of, well, in this movie, howling. They're wolves. They get together, the end. The attempts at humor throughout the movie were at best cute, at worst facepalm worthy. Way too many, I gotta pee, and ow my butt jokes. A little of that goes a long way. The Canadian goose and the duck were, well, annoying. Not much else to say. They kept popping in and out at weird times, and I don't know, they just weren't really very funny. But the good news, the animation was a lot better than I expected. I mean, I saw the previews, but it ended up being consistently good. Again, not on par with Legend of the Guardians, but it was definitely decent. Very good cartoony computer animation. The music also was really nice. At first I was a little bit leery about them working the howling into the music, but it worked well once I got used to it. That's the thing about Alpha and Omega. You gotta get used to it. And once you do, it's alright. It's just that you kind of have to get used to it in nearly every scene. Humphrey was actually pretty funny. He certainly drew the eye a lot more than any other character. Even Kate, though, well, let's face it, Kate was pretty awesome with her hunting moves. And, well, she's rather pretty, too. Maybe the bad outweighed the good, but all the same, it's a movie that I would watch again, and even get a chuckle out of again. It had its sweet moments, its serious moments, but in general, the whole thing was played off rather lightheartedly. For a kid, I'd definitely recommend a look. For a furry, I'd recommend at least a look. For anyone else, it's sort of up in the air. I mean, it's a sort of cross between Homeward Bound and West Side Story. It's kind of an odd mashup that sort of works. It could have been better, but I don't think it deserved the 3.6 out of 10 that IMDb gave it. Really quick, I've adjusted my rating scale since Legend of the Guardians. With said movie now being a 10, and Aragon, Aragon being a 1. In all honesty, I've got to give Alpha and Omega a solid 6.5. It was above average, and I don't see why everybody thinks it was so horrible. It was not a bad movie. It just needed a bit more work, and I think it could have been downright good. Well, that's my opinion. Do with it what you will. Throw it out the window if you want to. I'm Valerius, and this has been another Red Dragon Rant. Ciao.